welcome back to the Journey to the FarLands. All right. That's right, I have not forgotten, even though it may look that way. Okay, let's see. All right, yeah, let's bust out of here and get this show on the road. All right. Anybody about that we don't like? No. Good. All right, and west is that away. All right, let us proceed. Continuing onwards. Walking to the FarLands. Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. The last version of Minecraft to include the FarLands. Okay. Let's see. This is the morning of the 373rd Minecraft day since I left spawn. And we continue onward. Whoa, we continue onward the heck away from that creeper. Oh. I do like the way these old bows used to work. The way you could machine gun them like that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was about to get to the world size thing. The current size of the world, 4,494.23 megabytes, and counting as we continue walking west to the FarLands. All right, well, let's see here. What is going on? Well, let's see. You may be curious about the title of this episode. I live! You know, sounds like maybe a quote of Frankenstein's monster or something, you know? No, it is in response to an anonymous question I received recently, today, in fact, that asks, curiously enough, are you dead? That's a heck of a question to ask somebody. Of course, presumably, if you get an answer, you know the truth, even if they said yes. Oh, good grief. Got nasty neighbors all over the place today. Well. Okay, I think it's time for a vote. So, let us vote. Oh. There. Much better. Okay, so in response to that question, no, I'm not dead. Granted, it's been longer than I like since the previous episode, and for that I have to apologize. I will say that part of that has been due to me having issues with migraines recently, which, if you've ever had one, you know that is a huge issue on occasion when it happens, and it kind of shuts you down. But I'm back at it, and I should have been back at this several days ago. I really feel like that. And I know that anytime I say something like that, somebody's going to come along and assure me that, hey, no pressure, and that's great. I really appreciate the no pressure. On the other hand, just simply as a matter of self-discipline, I would like to resume some kind of habit of doing regular episodes on at least a regular basis of some kind. Because in this series I have an unfortunate history of somehow managing to get away from it for months at a time, with no reasoning, with no announcement, with no saying, hey, I'm taking a break, or anything like that. Just months on end with no episode. And I'm trying very hard to avoid even coming close to thinking about doing something like that again. I don't want any more of that. That if I do actually decide to take a break, I will actually say so. Hey, I'm taking a break for X amount of time or whatever, and leave it at that instead of leaving people hanging. Trying very hard not to do that anymore. I've done entirely too much of it in the past, and I don't want to do any more of that. Anyway, so as we continue onward, I appreciate the positive thoughts of what I was saying about Elite that I was talking about last episode. One person said something about glad you have a game like that, or something like that, you know, something that you just play to relax and unwind and have zero stress in, and so on. And so far, I have found Elite to be quite a zero stress game. And it's probably got a lot to do with the way I'm playing, doing the exploration thing full bore. Because that tends to take you away from civilization and away from other players and so on. And frankly, that suits me just fine. For now, at least. At some point, I may get involved in some of the many other aspects of the game. But for right now, just going out and doing the exploration thing is suiting me just perfectly. Another individual whose name I have tried in my head to pronounce, and I can't. I'm sorry. So rather than mangle it, I'm just going to say, well, I'll quote your comment, and you'll know who you are. The comment was, and I quote, I think you should or at least could do a collective video of your Elite Dangerous screenshots. Perhaps even a few video clips showing cool planets in your spaceship. Unquote. Well, I might actually do something like that. I've kind of thought about that myself. I know I got it, the whole thing with the idea of I am not obligating myself to make videos with that game at all. And I know a lot of people have done a lot of Elite Dangerous video, but from my point of view, I'm not sure how great of a video thing that would be for. I mean, just simply because a lot of what you do becomes so repetitive after a while that while you may not mind doing those things, even though they're repetitive, you know, there's just, well, like for example, there's just so many videos that I can watch of people flying around shooting other ships. Unless the situation is somehow unique, it just kind of gets a little old after a while. You know, I mean, for me, there's only just so many variations on pew 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 that I can look at before I have to get to something else. And I don't know. I find it hard to be interested in the idea of making video in that game, but occasional videos highlighting the coolness of what I'm finding and seeing in screenshots and whatnot, and otherwise in my explorations, that is another matter. That could be a good idea, because I have seen some interesting sights, and I've actually managed to remember to hit the screenshot button for at least a few of them. That's another thing, is actually remembering to do the screenshots in the first place, instead of just going, oh, cool, and then flying onward to the next place. So, yeah. Well, there is a cool place. One cool place that I found fairly early on in my my big trip that I started on the 3rd of June. And I call this screenshot Rivers of Blood. And that's kind of what it looks like to me. Never mind the fact that the moon in question that is a screenshot of has no atmosphere. And it's far enough away from the sun in that system that nothing liquid has ever existed there, let alone that much blood. But that's what it looks like. And then there's another screenshot that is of a closer up view where I'm flying over one of those rivers at a reasonably low altitude. Somewhere under 2 kilometers altitude. And it's obviously not liquid. It doesn't look liquid in that scene, but it's still very impressive, and it makes one wonder why the red coloration. What caused the red coloration? It's a good question. I never did figure out an answer for that, except for obviously something that planet is, or moon, or whatever it is made of, promotes a red coloration. I would probably assume a high content of iron, perhaps? I don't know. But that was really interesting. And it was definitely screenshot worthy. There is one other. I ran across a rather large ringed planet. And this is, well, like for example, to give you a comparison, if you know anything about astronomy or the local solar system that we live in, reference the planet Saturn, which is our own local ringed gas giant. It's a pretty big planet. It's almost as big as Jupiter. And the rings are humongous, and they stretch out for hundreds of thousands of miles, and so on. This gas giant, shown in this picture, as best I can tell, or could tell at the time, I'm nowhere near there now, and I don't remember any of the information that was available on the map about it, but as near as I could tell, that planet is big enough to make Saturn look like a marble. It's huge. Genuinely monstrous in size. And so I decided to fly in closer to it. And when you fly in close to something like that, you get a pretty good feel for the scale of it. Let's see. Oh, I got enough. You know, I need to get some wood is what I need to get. And so I flew in close. Flew in over the rings. And it really starts to hit your mind about the scale of the thing when you get that close to it. And and then finally I got in really close to the actual rings. And that's where I got this screenshot. Flying next to the rings. Not extremely literally close. I have no idea how far away it was because I didn't want to risk getting close enough to actually have a chance even of coming into contact with the rings, because I'm pretty sure that would be a bad thing. Because hitting something, because the rings are not a solid thing. They're millions and billions of balls of rock and ice that just happen to be orbiting the planet in the shape of a ring. And you wouldn't want to fly into something like that. Especially moving at the speed that these ships can move at. Oh, excuse me. I hate doing that. Especially when I'm recording. So there I am, flying next to the rings. And, well, here's the screenshot. Talk about something that will make you feel small. I'm flying about midway across the rings. Midway between the distance between the edge of the ring on the outside and the planet on the inside. And I'm about halfway between those 2 points in that screenshot. And they look like they just go on forever. And that look is even more pronounced when you're actually in-game flying the ship in that position than when just looking at a screenshot, because you see the ring, you see your motion going past the rings, and it just seems like it's going to go on forever. And it was just huge. I should have took a shot looking upward from the cockpit of the ship. I didn't think to do that, and the next time I get next to a ring planet, I'm going to do something like that, because that is an awesome view. I did look up. I just didn't think to grab a screenshot of it. And, oh, that was humongous. Amazing. To have something as big as that planet hanging over your head. And in spite of the fact that I had to be a couple of million miles from the actual planet, it filled the sky. It literally filled the sky above the ship. It was that big. You imagine something big enough that from a couple of million miles away, it fills the sky. Yeah. That sucker was huge. And it just kind of makes you realize how small any one person or any one thing actually can be when compared to the rest of, to even a part of the rest of the universe. It's really amazing. And it's views like that is one of the reasons I'm doing this exploration thing. Of course, another reason is that when I finally finish the trip and return to a station and sell the data that I will have acquired along the way, I'm going to make a whole lot of in-game cash quickly. Probably on the order of hundreds of millions. I don't know exactly, of course, because unfortunately there isn't a way to review the exploration data in your ship while you're out there. The only place you can go over that data at all is when you're at a station and you click on Universal Cartographics, and that's when you can see that and do something about looking at it. Alright, it's time for this. Oh, come on. Yeah. It would be nice if I could review all of that, because if I could, I would actually be willing to spend an hour or two in-game, not moving, just sitting in one place, going through all of that data and making some notes about it, adding up some totals and so on, because it would be interesting to be able to review all of that. I really wish we could. But, yeah, the only other way would be to actually keep notes myself as I go, and I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. That is just not going to happen. There's too many things I would want to keep track of. Although there is a little bit of statistical information that I can keep track of from within the ship out on the journey. I left a station in the populated region for the last time, or the last time I did. It was on the 3rd of June. That's when I started this trip. A day later, on the 4th, I discovered this statistics screen in one of the ship's information panels. And that shows things like, in addition to how much money I've earned in exploration and what was my biggest single payout and so on, also little bits like, for example, the maximum distance that I've traveled from the start. And by that means the distance from the station that you start the game at. And actually, I understand there are quite a number of those stations. It's just that it's recording the maximum distance from the station you started at, which at that time was just a little bit over 1,000 light years. I took another screenshot of that statistics panel 15 days later on the 16th. And at that time, I had gone to a little over 2,800 light years from start. And I'm still going, with no plans of stopping or turning back anytime soon. And, well, how long could I end up being out there? Pretty doggone long. I heard recently about somebody that they left on a long exploration trip like that. last Christmas. Now here it is, June of 2017, the 18th of June as I'm recording this, and they left on a long exploration trip last Christmas. And apparently last night was when they first returned and docked at a station for the first time since they left. They'd been out over 6 months. That's awesome. It would have been cool had they posted how much they earned for that trip, but just simply out of curiosity, you know. But I figured it probably wouldn't be polite to ask. I don't know. It's probably quite a lot, though. I gotta say that. You're out for 6 months doing the exploration thing. That's a lot. And so, I figure if that person can do that, so can I. Somebody recently told me that I was a master of the grind. That I'm really good at grindy things. Of course, they were talking about Minecraft, of course. But that can apply to anything else. And honestly, if it's something that I don't mind doing and find relaxing, like mining in Minecraft, then yeah, I guess maybe I can be a master of the master of the grind. Because like I have been known to spend 6 or 8 hour days mining. Yeah. And this exploration thing in Elite is sufficiently relaxing that I can, and a couple of times have, spent entire days doing nothing else. You know, when the migraine was really nailing me bad, and I was at a point where the sleep just simply wasn't going to happen. I had tried and tried, and I just was at a point where I had given up trying to sleep. I spent most of a day flying this exploration mission to try to take my mind off of the worst of the migraine pain, and because it was something that I could do that kept the mind occupied a little bit, gave me something to do and look at, think about, and was also something that if there was a sudden burst or wave of new migraine pain and it just became unbearable, it was something that I could stop and walk away from without having any problems. And I had to do that a couple of 3 times. But yeah, it was really helpful just to be able to do that. Because no way was I going to try mining in Minecraft with a migraine. That just isn't going to happen. Minecraft mining is very relaxing, but it requires a certain amount of focus. Not a whole heck of a lot, but it required more than I had for that. And so being able to just blow off the day doing the exploration made me feel like I was doing something. At least a few times it took my mind off of the migraine. And basically it made an otherwise miserable day bearable. I'm very thankful for that. So, here it is. I'm most of the way through the episode, having to look for a place to park for the night. And I just realized that I've been yammering about Elite for most of the entire episode. I hope that's not a problem, because I did it, and I'm not going to undo it. Well, I can't undo it. Not without having to come up with something else, and I don't know. I'm not quite fully awake enough for that just yet. It's still a little on the early side in the morning for me. Speaking of early, it's not. It's late, and I need to find a place to dig in. Look like some kind of a wall sort of thing over here. What do we got? Alrighty. Okay. It's a little too shaded for my taste, but okay, how about this? I will throw down some torches out here in an effort to prevent at least some of the mob spawns that would happen. That's wasteful. And I will just dig in here. Yeah, this'll work. Alrighty. One more block back. And I can get a torch up here, or three, since it's so bleeding dark in here. Alright. Let's get the bed down. No, we're not going to blow it up. We're going to put a bed down. Jeez. Oy. Okay. Still need to get more logs. And wool. Okay. All right. Well, there we are. The end of the day, as the gentle strains of C418 just kind of brings the day to a close. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I am out of here.